Good morning, staff. Thank you to the principal for the invitation to speak about our responsibilities as educators to uphold Australia's commitment to inclusive education. Today, we're going to be talking about, and I'll make a strength-based evidence-informed case for the closing of the separate educational unit at our school and supporting Luca, a Year 7 student at our school with ASD Level 2, to fully participate in our mainstream classrooms alongside his twin brother Giorgio. We'll be discussing this, I'll be discussing this through legal frameworks, educational standards, and the understanding that every student has the right to belong. So that's the main message that I'll be sending. So inclusive education and the importance has a strong commitment, and Australia has a strong commitment to equity, human rights, and social justice. We have recognised exclusive education as a human right. The Disability Standards for Education 2005 required that students with a disability has equitable access to enrolment, participation, and achievement in mainstream education. So I think APS, Australian Professional Standards for Teaching, which you all should be familiar with, reinforce this as well. So 4.1, if you have a look on that, if you'd like to get APS standards up right now, 4.1 is identifying strategies to support inclusive student participation and engagement. So it's there in the teaching standards. We have a standard to uphold that we need to inclusively include all students with participation, all of them, with their engagement. So working closely and finding out Luca's interests and understanding the strengths of Luca can help Luca flourish and help this situation get on the improve. Why should we close the separate unit? So it sends a message to Luca and his family that he does not belong. It reflects gatekeeping, which is illegal, and ableism. And gatekeeping is just limiting access to mainstream learning. So the Disability Discrimination Act here states that and makes it clear that separating students unnecessarily is unlawful. So it is illegal. So the Royal Commission also talks about this and is recommending, segregated settings because they can cause harm and they can limit opportunities. So the first stakeholder I want to talk about is Luca and the family. Luca's parents want their twins to be educated together, which is a reasonable expectation, I think. So that's the first stakeholder. Second is Giorgio and the peers. So it shows inclusion benefits all students by fostering empathy, respect. So students should learn to value differences and build social, emotional skills. And Luca and Georgia also feel, a strong connection together. So separating them may impact their emotional well-being and might make the situation even worse. So students, teachers and staff, and more importantly as well, the school leadership, in particular, in the school, some teachers might obviously resist change. It can present challenges, but with appropriate training, I think, and mentoring and the collaborative planning, I think all staff here can confidently differentiate and support diverse learners, which I will then go and unpack further in this presentation. And then finally, the last stakeholder is the school community. So, shifting here from a medical model to more of a social model of disability aligns with the law, and the closing of the unit sends a powerful message to families and that every child belongs. It doesn't just send a powerful message to Georgia and Lucas family, it sends a message to everyone, that everyone belongs. So I think the culture of the school community will improve. Understanding ASD. ASD essentially is the level 2. Luca might have trouble with communication, social skills, these type of things. and have different activities and behaviors, difficulty with transition from one activity to another, focus on things. If uh, if routines get interrupted, then that can cause some um, you know can cause Luca to might get some anxiety or stress. So I think going into the and diving into the next slide of the differentiation strategies is exactly what we're trying to do here to help you and all you staff to incorporate Luca in the classroom. So the first one I want to talk about is visual schedules. So predictable routines, reducing anxiety, supporting independence is a big one. Task adjustments. So breaking tasks into smaller, manageable steps, offering frequent check-ins. Another one might be, sensory support. So, noise cancelling, headphones, fidget tools, quiet zones in the classroom. So maybe in the back corner, there might be a little quiet zone to reduce, the overwhelmness of the environment. Peer support, pairing Luca with Giorgio or like a trusted classroom to model, the social interactions. Getting your leaders together in the classroom, knowing what your class is like, knowing who's in your class who would pair well with Luca, and then making Luca to make choices about tasks and express, Luca's preferences. So talking to Luca, what makes Luca tick, what is Luca's strengths, because Luca, year 7 Luca is very, very smart, very, very creative, has good memory, great focus. So these things need to be considered, and that's just communicating with, family, might be even Giorgio, and then just talking to Luca one-on-one, which I think is important. We'll just summarize the key concepts through the Royal Commission. So ableism, discrimination against people with disability, gatekeeping, limiting Luca to getting access to opportunities. And then we talk about the equitable access. So we make that decision. And then giving Luca the same rights and opportunities as everyone else. And then we do the differentiation and adjustments process of when we do have the opportunities for Luca to be in the new unit, or the closing unit of the unit, then that's when we tailoring the teaching and learning needs for Luca's ASD. So inclusion is a right, not a privilege. Closing our separate unit is a step towards a school where every student like Luca is included, feels valued, supported, empowered to succeed. By embracing inclusion, we're not only meeting legal obligations, we're building a culture where every student belongs. As a school, we have the opportunity to lead by example, showing our community, and we're going to improve our community, as we talked about with the stakeholders, by inclusively incorporating everyone in the same environment, is a way of showing the community that diversity is a strength. So let's commit to making every classroom a place where all students belong. Thank you for listening.